Good evening, everyone. This is the Director's Cut Office Hour webinars with Sue Bell, myself, Russell Wright, and Jimmy Kelley when he can make it. And I'm really excited to see all of you here tonight. These are monster-sized webinars, so I'm really glad that we have these webinars because we are getting more questions than I have actually ever seen in my entire lifetime. We get more questions from the Director's Cut than we've gotten sometimes on our help desk in a month. So it's really good. And it's also very helpful because you guys are keeping us informed about what it is you need help with. And it's really good to see all of you. So if I could just get a 1 from each and every one of you to let you know if you can hear me. Hello, Wayne. It's good to see you. Paul, Jackie, Shane. Wow, that's just a huge number of people. I wish I could read all of your names. So good to see you. And some of you I know and recognize, some of you I don't. I know that Sue and I have spent time with several of you at the live OMG event, and some of you I even see from our live certification event, so that's great. It's really good to meet all of you, and I do apologize if I don't know each one of you personally. So what I believe Sue has decided to do tonight, and she'll correct me, of course, if I'm wrong, is we've received an inordinate amount of questions. And so rather than waste your time with fluff or anything like that, we're going to get right into these questions. Now, Jimmy has been nonstop with a lot of things, so he might not be on this webinar tonight, in which case we will belay actually Sue has, of course, the authority and the skill sets and the knowledge expertise to answer anything. She might elect to put some questions aside until next week that would actually be more beneficial for both of them to answer you. Or she may decide to give you a cursory answer depending upon, again, this is all about you guys. Some people, Sue, are saying, okay, Sue Bell, crack the whip. Whatever Sue says is fine. Don't get in her way. So it's really good. Yeah, we have a running joke around our companies. That's not a joke. Sue, gosh, what can I say about Sue except that this is a superhuman feat to be able to organize 4 successful companies, some of them software-driven, some of them educationally driven. And to work with Sue for the last decade of my life has been one of the more transformative experiences I've had because, as you can imagine, Sue was quite experienced as both a software engineer and a business entrepreneur when I met her in 2006. I cringe to remember some of the questions that I asked her during those early years that she'd already had vast amounts of experience and was a successful entrepreneur in her own right during that time. So as you guys can imagine, I have a huge amount of respect from that first day that I dragged my first client, which I think was bizfilings.com. It's a LLC and corporation service in the United States. Was multi-million-dollar company. It's been upwards of billion-dollar company now. I brought that project in and said, Sue, how do I make all these numbers from these 2.3 million keywords line up in Word Tracker? Remember that, Sue? Yes. And she looked at me like I had shown her like 27 different kinds of data sets. Some of them were pulled from Google, some of them were pulled from Word Tracker, some of them were pulled from the early keyword research tools of the time. And I had this funny idea that I wanted all the data from those keyword research tools to line up and actually make sense. Imagine that. In other words, I wanted all the tools out there to agree and have a unified agreement on absolute truth. Well, that was lesson 1 from Sue Bell that I received in 2006. We later went on to build our own keyword tools, and I was schooled in the art of data analysis and learned a ton. When I first met Sue, I brought back all of my SEO silo website skill and insight from Bruce Clay at the time. Our relationship was pretty new. And she looked at that data from our certification and started immediately designing enterprise-level software in her head and on the whiteboard in our what was then pretty small office in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin, Sue. Is that where our first office was?
Yep.
And so that has been a little bit of a journey. I wanted to give you guys some insight into the journey because that's part of the growth process of going from zero to building multi-million-dollar companies. So that's my business partner, Sue. And of course, hopefully you know that my interest is in persuasion architecture, website development, how users respond to websites, and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do is, as we start these questions, we will go ahead and answer as many as we can, and I'm going to go ahead and man the question file here. Since it's just 2 of us tonight, Sue and myself, I'll do my best to grab the question as it goes by, but because of the number of people on this webinar, I won't be able to grab every question right away, but we'll do our best. With no further ado, I guess we should just jump right into these questions.
Yeah, so we've got a link that, let me just pull that up for a second. We've got a place where you guys can go to put questions in. I don't know how many of these questions we're going to get through tonight. We've already got quite a list. Just see if I can move enough stuff around out of the way here to grab that link. And here we go. So let me throw that into a notepad file over here. So this, and I'll also throw it into the chat window.
Yeah, I was dropping it.
There we go.
Tom James, while Sue is doing that, Tom just says, Russell, I'm so glad to hear that you felt like an incompetent at some point in time. Yeah, I've gotten, it's interesting, I've got to talk to a lot of directors, cutters, and OMGers, and it's not my intention to sound like a know-it-all or anything like that, because the fact of the matter is I'm not. What's actually happened is I've simply hung around really, really smart people. And if there's one thing that I could throw out there is like, I agree with Henry Ford and all that. You don't really need to know everything about everything. I mean, that being said, of course I have some background in technology and philosophy and all these things. But at the end of the day, as you guys probably read in my recent writing about 2015, what that's about for us, it's really about the strength of your team. Without Sue, without Jimmy, the rest of my team, if I had to know everything about everything, and if you guys had to know everything about everything, oh man, we would be so screwed. And that's one of the things, and that's one of the things about the director's cut, and that really kind of turned me on when Mike and Dave started talking about what we wanted to get you guys. Like first and foremost, you don't have to know everything about everything. Yeah, and so we're trying to, and you guys have been really helpful with these questions, trying to distill this stuff to the most essential components of what Mike calls money getting. And that's not a bad word for it, because at the end of the day, when it comes to website persuasion architecture, or even just, can you sell it? At the end of the day, can you sell it? And really, in order to be able to do that, you have to know what the value point is. Like, what are people actually buying from you? And not everybody on this call is selling rankings. Or some of you sell traffic. Some of you build your own sites and you're affiliate marketers. I see 3 of you here that I know make greater than 10K a month in affiliate marketing. And what I love about this director's cut and this community is that there's such a diversity of success ranges and professional business models. And with that, the common denominators of what's successful across all of them can be made known to you guys. I love that.
All right, so what I'm hoping to do tonight is get all you guys to type your questions in over here on typeform.com, because then I'll make sure that we don't lose them as we go flying by, and then we can use the chat window to have a conversation, to have a dialogue, so that you can refine your questions and we can make sure that everybody's on the same page.
That's great. Hey, Chris, there's a gentleman named Chris who's saying, hey, I feel a little left out. I haven't even built a website yet. Well, that's cool, because, you'll have most of the things that, we get there at some point. And,
exactly.
We're all at different levels. You have to start somewhere, Chris. Go ahead, Sue.
Yep. All right. So let's start at the top. And
it's a very good place to start.
It is, isn't it?
Start at the very beginning.
The Super RSS feed plugin will probably be available for beta testing this week. If you guys want to stick your hands up for beta testing, let me know. And depending on how the beta test goes,
the screen goes wild.
Next week.
Don't do
yeah, right?
Sue, don't do that. Now we've got a never-ending scroll of please. Ugh. Now I can't see the question.
All right.
Just teasing you.
Excellent.
Wow, look at the number of people.
Do you have? That's excellent.
Go ahead, Sue.
Do you have where to get the Twitter and Facebook feeds right at your fingertips, Russell?
I'm looking. Twitter and Facebook feeds. Twitter no longer has a feed. Is that what you mean? You have to build it.
True.
And I got to talk to you about how you want to address that. So we'll talk to that. Let me talk to Sue about how we want to adjust the Twitter feeds. There is a way to do it, but I don't want anybody to just strain their brain or anything. It's a little bit weird, because what happened, I posted a few articles on these last Christmas where they started to deprecate Twitter. And deprecate means simply that they're no longer offering the feed, and there's usually a reason for that. We'll get back to you on the Twitter feed because there is a way to do it, which they make you jump through 3 hoops, turn around backwards 3 times, ride a unicycle, juggle while you're breathing fire. If you want to do that.
I do that before coffee.
Yes, you do, but we got to talk about everybody else here. So it is possible to make a Twitter feed. If you guys, can I just do a quick survey because I need help with you folks. I know we're at so many different levels of experience here. You guys, would you rather, even if you're totally new, like Chris is just jumping in, would you rather have us give you that kind of information if something is slightly challenging, or would you rather just leave it out and only include things that are difficult? Give me a 1 if you want everything no matter what, and 2 if just the facts map. Give me a 2 if you want. And there's nothing wrong with 2, by the way, you guys. Nothing. Wow. Okay. Why is there no 2s? Oh, thank goodness, a 2 from David. Okay, from Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. Jeff, that's a good point. I don't want to confuse anybody. Okay, there is some 2s in here. So some of you would just rather have super basic, nothing. Okay, we'll talk about what we want to do with that because we are working on the possibility of creating a way to create an RSS feed to Twitter. It's expensive. It's a pain. Sue has mentioned that before. Haven't you, Sue? And so we have the Facebook feeds is a different topic as well. There is a way to create a Facebook feed, and as far as I know, that is still available. So I'm jotting that down as a note. I'm not going to give them the link right now because it's changed twice in the last 8 months on Facebook.
Okay.
Okay. Facebook feeds are a little weird depending upon. Let me go ahead and get that on the list here.
All right.
Good questions, by the way, on those 2.
All right. So the next question is, have we ever tried Facebook Notes to add trust juice to the money site? No follow link, but it's coming from a DA of 100. Yes, it would be great for DAOs.
Yes.
So long as it's got a high DA, that's all you need. We haven't ever tried it, but it would be great.
Yeah. I think,
right, next question.
I think Jimmy at some point mentioned that as viable. He never got
No,
into
he hasn't because I talked to him about this.
Ah, okay, good.
Touched base.
I must be thinking of something else.
Yeah. No follow links are known for not passing link juice, but they seem to be important to build the overall trust of a money site. Could you please explain the difference and the effect on do follow and no follow? Oh, yes.
Here we go. That's an epic question, by the way. Thanks for that one.
It is. It is. So no follow definitely doesn't pass as much pizzazz, but it does pass link juice.
Yeah.
If your link is coming from a questionable source, or if it's not thematically relevant and it's a no-follow, then it protects you from that. So no-follows are great in that respect. And it is completely possible to rank for terms 100% from no-follow links. It's not something that I try to do with a really competitive term, but it is possible. So yeah, no-follows I think are super. And most of your social media sites have got no-follows, but that's just fine.
Can I ask a question, Sue, before I know you have this idea that you want to get through all the questions, but let me just slow down on that one a little bit. Is that cool if I do that?
I'm just going to try.
She's going to go for all of it. That's in her nature. Quick question for everybody in the group. Can you please give me a 2 if you do not know what no follow even means? Like it might as well be quantum
Greek?
quark physics. Like it might as well be like it might as well be like a physics calculator. Okay, let me just look. Hang on. How many got? Everybody give me a 2 if you literally, like the word itself just intimidates you, and it just might as well be quantum physics. Okay, so we're looking at, so far it's not that many, Sue. We're looking at slightly over 10 out of hundreds. Okay. So here's an interesting thing. Well, first of all, we're going to help define this. I want to take this opportunity since you were here, Sue, since you're great at explaining this stuff, because you taught me everything I know about code. So, let's just jump right. We'll give you guys a quick overview of this, and if you still don't understand it, know it's kind of a code thing. And if code is intimidating you, meaning HTML, here's the cool thing about WordPress, okay? WordPress does have a WYSIWYG editor when you log in, and you don't really need to know any code to add the link. Like it actually, when you add a hyperlink inside WordPress, and if we need to, we'll go and look at it. When you add that link inside WordPress, you don't really see what's going on behind the scenes, okay? You know what I mean? So, but what Sue is going to be showing you here is like what's underneath. What a lot of you who only use WordPress and don't edit in the code function, WordPress will, this is what's happening on underneath what WordPress does for a lot of you guys automatically. Okay, does that make sense? Okay.
So a regular link, a do follow link, doesn't have the rel equals no follow in it. Rel equals no follow means it was originally a thing that was designed by Google, and it was originally intended for places like forums, so that they weren't sending a lot of links that they weren't intending to send.
Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, they changed the definition.
Yeah.
Google changed the definition, which they were wanting to do.
Yeah.
And the common mythology is that it doesn't do anything to help you rank, but that is complete and total mythology.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. The key point I'd like you guys to walk away from is what Sue just said there, and this is quite a shocker for all kinds of people in the SEO industry, whether we're on webinars with Becker or whether we're giving live talks at live events. There is the old ideas die hard, right? This idea that that there's no value. But as soon as you get into trust, and as soon as you start breaking down the components of the domain authority stacking that Jimmy and Sue are showing you, you'll start to see the value there. Sue, I also do have Network Empire News's WYSIWYG editor up. Like one example would be where I use no-follow links for you guys. If I have a huge site with lots of banners on it, I like to no-follow those banners. Does that make sense to you guys? Because because otherwise if I have, Sue's busted me a few times on like really large sites that I've had. She's like, why are these follow? And I'm like, what, Sue? There's only 120,000 pages. She's like, yeah,
right.
I'm wondering what's wrong with everybody else's rankings and yours. So I just want to point that out. Is like, hey, it even happens to the best of us. You want to, don't one me Jazz for that. She's really bad. She'll just put she'll randomly just put a 1 up. Like if there's something that if I bust myself, she'll just go 1. No, you guys, so what I'm really saying is that's really helpful. If you got a lot of pages, you got to no-follow that banner. And what I wanted to show everybody is you don't even have to think. I don't know if you know this, but WordPress will allow you to enter a no-follow in 4 seconds or less for a banner or a link. It's already written in there. All you got to do is type in no-follow in the image, and it does it for you. So you don't have to do all this stuff by hand. You
don't?
No, in fact...
Well, that takes all the fun out of it.
Yeah, that's what you told me for years, and I'm like, can we please use this easier? Sue, can you please give me a WYSIWYG editor for everything? Can you give me a WYSIWYG editor?
Just a whip.
That's just a whip, she says. All right. Give me a 1 if you guys understand that, and a 2 if you're completely clueless and that was utterly meaningless to you. Lots of 1s. Okay, good. Gene says, Russell, please stop treating us as newbies. The director's cut is advanced training. It's not for beginners. Okay. Gene, there are a few beginners in here. I definitely appreciate that. So I also have to say that since I only did see 14 people who were beginners, okay, that's good feedback, Gene. That's good feedback. What do you feel about what Gene said, Sue? Apparently, I annoyed the crap out of Gene by even talking about no-follow in the WYSIWYG editor.
They've sat through all of Jimmy's videos.
Right. Got it.
They're on the bleeding edge now.
You're right. Okay, so then so for the beginners in here where you don't understand those basic things, here's some cool things. In your previous courses, we know that Mike Long just added a new glossary to a couple of the sections, and that would be one recommendation, right, Sue? To go back to the glossary and take a look at that.
I don't think it's in this course.
Okay.
But it's a nice idea. Okay, next. The DAS structure works around the idea that in today's algorithm, trust is getting more important than just purely link juice. That's why sometimes, even though you keep building links from your PBN, the website won't move up. But I noticed in many cases where a website with lower trust, lower DA, and PA are still ranking better than more authority sites. Aha! What would you think would be the reason for a better position in these cases? Have you noticed similar? Yes, I have. All right, so let's take a concept, a site like about.com, huge site, right? And And let's take a concept like cats. Now, out of the millions of pages that are on about.com, there's only going to be a small percentage of them that are about cats. So let's say that out of a million pages, it's got 150 pages about cats. Now let's say that you've got another website, allaboutcats.com, and it's got 3,000 pages that are all about cats. Now, clearly, 3,000 pages where the entire site is about cats is going to be a more authoritative by theme than about.com is by cats. About.com is going to have a higher domain authority. It might even have a higher page authority for a particular cat's page, but it's not going to be as authoritative on the subject.
See, were you showing us something other? See, are you showing us something other than the questions? Because we're not seeing it.
Am I supposed to?
Oh well, I don't know. It seems like you're talking about something that.
You can go to allaboutcats.com.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I don't know if that's actually a site.
You're funny.
But we can go there.
You're so funny. I hope it's not a porn site. Okay, there you go. Don't do that. You feel lucky? You feel lucky?
I do.
Okay. Maybe we should show them a silo image or something. I don't know. Those words are starting to scare me on the screen.
Well, that was the end of that question anyway.
Okay, got it. Okay. I pretty much understood it. I hope that everybody else did. Can I read this? Can I read an insert question right here? Because I think it's funny.
Sure.
Can I do that? Or do you have a set regimen? Are you holding the whip hard and we're not?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
No, I'm actually laughing at some of the stuff Jazz is saying.
I know. Jazz is really, she's going to get busted. Okay. I'm just kidding, Jazz. Being new, I am not familiar with your software, plugins, deep silo, etc. Is there a plugin? Oh, all the questions just scrolled away. How does Mike even do this? Okay. Deep silo. Is there a plugin we can buy like ClickJacker, which jacks domain authority sites and then can post links? Well, I think what you're really asking, can I ask a question? Hopefully I'm getting to the question behind the question, Scott. Everything that we do automates domain authority when it comes to the one feed to rule them all. So the one feed supercharger will be really helpful in using domain authority backlinking. We also have Social Explosion. Social Explosion directly utilizes social media platforms and their domain authority across what we call the Network Empire Social Media Exchange Network, which is currently, I think, something like 40,000 people strong. So those links go back to your site, they get indexed in the search engines, and then you get that domain authority juice on autopilot for everything that you post. I hope that's helpful. We don't, ClickJacker is a little bit different. We don't work with that type of model. But WP Social Explosion, Scott, and the one-feed supercharger will be very, very helpful for both of those models. Okay, go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, I can't think of, I mean, that's one of the reasons we built some of the plugins we built, because there wasn't a good way to actually jack domain
authority. There really isn't. The way to jack domain authority is with domain authority stacking, and the way to automate domain authority stacking is with RSS feeds, folks. And Scott says, excellent. I think we answered his question.
Cool.
Okay, excellent.
All right. Screen did not change.
Well, I think she was expecting you to show a picture.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm sure glad all about cats wasn't a porn site, Sue. I really am. You're feeling lucky tonight.
Are there any rules of thumb when using RSS feeds, and if so, what? Paul, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that question. I suspect that the answer is no. Pretty much anything goes. Let me go on. I know.
I don't really understand that question either.
So.
Paul,
yeah, so if you're on tonight, you want to, give us a little bit of clarification there while I read your next question. So subdomains set up with vCraken as standalone entities and not linked to the money site, other than as a subdomain, with links to Twitter, etc. Aim, build up a site with its own authority to broaden the network of related properties. Is there value in joining both RSS feeds, subdomain and money site, into a single RSS
Paul,
to help link juice?
You naughty boy. Come to sort of, no, just kidding. He's starting to think outside of the box a little bit.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any value in joining both RSS feeds, subdomain and money site, into a single RSS to help link juice up all of the? Absolutely.
Great question, Paul. Fantastic question.
And then your next question is also good. Is there value to add a subdomain, not linked to the money site, into dash stack, which is pointing at the money site, and combine the RSS feeds? All right, so add the subdomain, which is not linked to the money site, into a dash stack.
What he's saying is that...
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, you got the...
Sorry, Sue, go ahead.
So you've got the subdomain, and you've got your dash stack, and your dash stack, one of the items in your dash stack is going to link over to the subdomain rather than linking to the money site. And yeah, that's absolutely viable.
Yeah, and you're thinking outside of the box there, Paul. And these are, and when we speak live and these types of things, we get into these types of models. So I really like the way you're thinking. You know, guys, gals, DAS, domain authority stacking is not magic. Many are the, well, it is, but many are the ways. There's a real physics to how it works. So there's many ways to create that flow of trust and value, you know, and flow, link juice through the things. Now, the interesting thing there is, can I say that, Sue? I don't know if I have to. Can I say that about the redirect stuff? I mean, I like subdomains because of that quality. Can I?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, let me just put it this way. Subdomains are really great, you guys, for all kinds of reasons. And when you can use them, you can consider them a buffer and a nice safety measure for other things that you'll probably learn. Okay. Let me just look at this. Can I insert something that's off the record, or you want to keep going down through the list?
Sure. No, keep going.
Sue, if you create a new blog site with the client's subdomain, does this keep the domain authority of the original domain?
Yes.
Good question, Melanie Alexander.
So if you have, yeah. So let's go to. Let me just look at about.com, because about.com is one of those sites that's got 5,432 different. Oh, I thought they did. No, they've got they've got folders. Well, that's just crazy. I was thinking that they were one of the ones that have subdomains, but there are sites out there that are like about.com, and you can see that as you go to the different subdomains, you can see that they've all got the same domain authority. So if you increase the domain authority in one subdomain, you increase it for the entire domain.
Yeah, you'll see a huge number of major platforms out there that use subdomains. Yeah, and about.com has literally thousands of subdomains. So those will all be powered up. And that's one of the reasons that Jimmy's not here to speak, so I'll speak for him. And then he can bust me later. He likes subdomains for all kinds of reasons. It offers a layer of protection, and you also have all the keyword flexibility within that. I like it because you can kind of start over. For example, today in our webinar, we found a student who verified, 5 published. She became a verified publisher on one domain, and had a lot of geographic locations. Well, you can set up a subdomain for those geographic locations if you're really serious about dominating, or maybe you have a regional business, and that really allows the flexibility for you to have a completely separate domain with a completely separate sitemap and power it up separately. And powering up that subdomain really helps power up the whole root domain all at once. You lost me?
Cool.
Did you lose me?
Yeah, you're back now.
Oh, wow, that was scary. I disappeared into the void.
You're back.
Okay. That was scary for me, too.
So subdomains, as far as Google is concerned, is treated like a folder. So they don't look at it as a separate site. But in some regards, so for example, let's say you've got 2 radically different topics. If you separate them on subdomains, then you've more completely partitioned them than if they were actually on a single subdomain.
Yeah, and in terms of WordPress, because I know it gets confusing with WordPress, it treats it, because Jazz said here, so the subdomains are treated as separate domains. Like Sue just said, it really is a folder. But what I like about it is with installs, and especially if you're using content management systems, it does treat it as a unique, completely separate domain, even though it's a sub. So you have all the flexibility and the advantage of all the benefits of a separate sitemap and a separate everything if you want. Plus, you get the fact that a subdomain is a buffer. and or gives you a measure of protection, which I think we can talk about, to your subdomain, and while at the same time powering up your main domain over time. And that's really great, especially when you're doing local, stuff or over regions. And again, there's nothing wrong with creating local or silos that are but it's just very, very nice. Does everybody give me a 1 if you understood that? If we get a thumbs up for everyone. Just trying to keep everybody awake, and I want to make sure Jean's happy.
Make sure they can still.
I'm going to go super advanced because of Jean.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about crazy stuff.
You're so bad.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I've muted her. No, just kidding. Good job, you guys. Looks like we got everybody.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
So RSS feeds. Is there any reason why not to include RSS feeds from a related site? Not one. No, there's no reason why not to include that. I mean, it depends on what it is that you're doing with the feed. I probably wouldn't stick that through Social Explosion and pay for somebody else's feed to be promoted. But aside from that, absolutely combining them. I've oftentimes had clients where they don't blog very often, and so I combine it with somebody else's feed who does blog a lot that's thematically related, and that causes that feed to get picked up more often. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Let's see what somebody said.
All right.
Patrick picked up on something. Can you hear me, Sue? I will switch over to my other headset if it starts to go weird. You can still hear me?
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. Just to insert related something we said. Patrick said, subdomains instead of silos for local SEO in different cities. Yeah, you can do that, Patrick. There's all kinds of variables. Please don't go back to Greg or anybody else and say that we told you to do that. You had to do that. It is an option. It kind of depends on your preference and a lot of other factors. For me, if I could have just expressed an opinion, and Sue, you should express it if yours is different. For me, subdomains has to do with the amount of money that I stand to make and how much IT debt I'm going to collect, because it does take a little extra work to create subdomains. Not a lot, but I'm lazy. So if you're going to create subdomains, you have to have some incentive to do that, and you have to know what you're doing. Really, does that make sense? Okay, cool.
Yeah, the way I said what I want to do is, what is it that I'm trying to rank for?
Right.
And subdomains lets you have like an extra layer to your silo structure really easily. So you can separate out by state and then have space for all the cities, or you can separate out by cities and then have topics underneath. It just depends. You can also separate out by topics and then have cities underneath. It just depends what your primary keywords are that you want to rank for, how you set up your silo structure.
Yeah, there's a website. Right, I could probably drop that for you guys, but there's a state-ranked website that's ranked, I think, number 11 now for the word Wisconsin. Patrick, that I designed and created for a company called Adlit in Wisconsin Dells. I haven't checked it anytime recently, but I built a monster site that had every county, every city, everything imaginable in it. So you probably remember that with Jasper. And that was a real beast. And it was pretty rough to try to get some of those things ranked. If I were to go back again today, a site of that size, I'd probably do subdomains, for the cities in Wisconsin, just because of the way it would have flown a little bit better.
All right, if you have a WordPress website that's not yet set up with the Deep Silo plugin, but has about 50 blog posts already, how do you best go about using the plugin to get things set up properly while keeping the current content in place? In other words, making a non-siloed site correct. Oh, that's one of the best questions. That's like $50,000 question. So 50 blog posts isn't too bad. When you start getting into the hundreds of blog posts, then I tend to go off on the subdomain. I'll actually put the siloed site on a subdomain and then just tie it into the original site through the menu. If you want to just rearrange the 50 blog posts, if your URL string wasn't set up so that it includes the category, then you're going to end up changing the URL string, which is going to change the URLs on all of your blog posts, and you're going to have to go back and do 301s on all of them. That's where it starts to get a pain and where you start to think about what it is that you want to do. The other thing that you can do, if you've already got category in your URL string, percent category percent. You guys know what I'm talking about when I say that. Give me a 1 if you know what I'm talking about, and a 2 if you don't, and I'll go over to blog really fast and show you what I mean. I'm getting some 2s. All right, let me just do this really quick here. Come on, baby. You can do it.
Radio silence.
Right?
You will get radio silence in our calls, guys.
All right, so
That's marketable.
permalinks. This is what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you can see this here, custom structure, percent category, percent post name. So that's what you need in order to have a silo to use our silo blocks. And a lot of times people have just gone with like post name or something like that. And so then you got to redo your site structure. That changes your URL string.
Wow,
so,
we got a huge delay. I think literally your screen just changed. Okay, let's see.
Wow.
Yeah, that's trippy. Like we're in a time vortex.
Okay, I'll talk a little
Talks way slower, Sue.
You're
bad. This is awesome.
All right. So if that's going to happen, and if your URL structure is already set up like that, then you're not going to have to do your 301 redirects, and that makes life a little bit easier because then you can come in with the silo plugin and set up what we call a bolt-on silo. And
don't even go there.
Sorry, I can't do that while I'm talking.
Don't even go to there. Schrodinger's bolt-on silo.
And
Tom James says,
so I can right. So I can leave those 50 alone and just create some silos beside it. So so in the silo builder, you can create them manually, or you can import them from one of our silo structured tools like Kraken or DWS, Network Empire Builder, and they'll just go in, and you'll have your blog posts under whatever category your blog posts are under, and you'll have your siloed site over whatever silos it is that you're constructing. Yes, you're supposed to be looking at
keep getting people. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think we should show them as many things as we can. I mean, we should try to give them some.
Well, I tried, but you told me that it took
No,
too
it was
long.
good. I mean, I don't want you to stop doing it. I don't know why there's a time delay.
Okay.
It was really, really good to get away from these questions because I look at these kind of feeling like, damn. I mean, I helped you answer, and I'm like vegging out here.
All right. We'll see what we can do.
You're overwhelmed.
I was watching the video of Jimmy in Project today talking about ranking citations for local clients and getting multiple page 1 rankings. He talked about using Magic Submitter or GSA to send links to these high DA properties to make them rank and pass link juice to the site as well.
Magic Submitter.
Does this technique still work?
Well, you can't get there from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
It's still, so here's the thing. So long as you're it depends on the kind of site that you're going through. If you go through a site like YouTube or something like that, that's like a huge site, it'll buffer things like GSA. But Google is starting to look at 2 links back.
Yeah.
So let's just come back here with
show us what's going on,
link tool again, right? So let's say if you've got a GSA garbage link here, and
what did you call
goes
it?
To a citation.
What did you call my links?
A spam link.
What?
Spam link. And this goes to your money site. So Google is looking now 2 hops back.
Yeah,
right?
Crazy.
And so if this isn't like a pretty heavy-duty site, then it's going to pick up on the fact that you're spamming your money site. So me personally, I say don't do it.
Spam is relative to.
Jimmy still does it, but he does it under certain sets of circumstances.
One person's garbage is another person's treasure. So.
Everything is relative. Everything is relative.
Exactly, Schrodinger's cat. Okay, probability is 100%.
All right, you sent 5,000 links in GSA to 20 high DA pages and had good results. That's good. The site definitely has climbed substantially. Okay, that's cool.
Yay, good job, Nick.
Does the technique still work? And yeah, sometimes. Today, sometimes, and I think that will become less and less.
Yep.
And is it best to send the links in bursts or continually until they rank? Well, so...
Great question.
Yeah. Me personally, I tend to send some links and then I wait and see what happens.
Exactly.
Jimmy tends to be more of a shotgun kind of
person. Jimmy tends to Jimmy tends to give as many links as possible till they're de-indexed and then build the site up again and then do less. Exactly. That's what he does.
No, I don't have the patience.
What? So, that's why he does it for you.
So, the thing of it is that it's going to take a long time for those links to get ranked unless you do something with those links. You know, like you put them through some kind of an indexer.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you do it, and then I would do a burst, and then I'd let it sit for a couple of weeks, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks, and see what happens. And then if it's not doing what you want to do another burst. But as I said, I'd be really careful about I'd go another layer back is what I would do, right? I would put in something like...
Uh-oh. There's a guy on this call
YouTube.
calling himself Jimmy Kelley, and he's asking a question. Is that you?
That's just wrong.
Naughty boy. See, I've been speaking for you the whole time, and now I'm in trouble. He's like, what the hell are you saying? He's like, what the... I'm not busted, Jazz. It's true what I said. Let's get him on the... Okay, he's there.
How do we stack to the... No, just kidding.
Jimmy, how many layers deep can you go before all trust and authority is diluted if you pass 22 million links to each tier, jumping through a 15.301
Depends on the cosine of the...
Sweet.
So do you want to say anything about that since we're in this GSA quandary? To which I hate to speak.
I guess ask the question. I just popped on here.
Oh, okay, so I'll re-ask your question then. He was watching a video. This is Nick. He was watching a video of you and Project J about ranking citations for local clients and getting multiple page 1 rankings. You use Magic Submitter or GSA to send links to high DA properties to make them rank and pass link juice. He wants to know, does this technique still work? He's done it before. He sent 5,000 verified links in GSA to 20 high DA, and he had good results. The site definitely climbed. And so his questions are these. 1, does the technique still work?
Yes, it does still work.
2, is it best to send links in bursts or continuous until they rank?
Continuous until they rank, typically. But I will say this, like so this is part of the thing with trust coming into play, and this is where, DAS plays a big role. You'll have instances where you'll blast the heck out of it, and it'll go straight to the top, no problem. Then you'll have other instances where you blast it, and you might get stuck at page 2 or bottom of page 1. In that instance, it's not good to apply more GSA. You would turn the GSA off, and then you would go and start adding more trust-type links to that property instead. So you could do like a DAS cluster. Sometimes if I got some PBNs that are high DA, I'll kick those in. I'll send a couple of those to the property, and that'll usually push it up the rest of the way. So, and the other thing is, depends on your anchors going to your target. What I've been telling people starting out lately, and this is in our FAQ section in the NE version, I usually tell people who are just starting that might not have the greatest or cleanest list to just hit your no-follow. So any links that are pointing to your money site that's a no-follow link is like open game. Like I'll hit that with exact match and different long tails and LSI. And I don't care about how many, but actually ranking the property, you're going to have to incorporate some of the trust in with the juice that you get from GSA. Now, on the flip side, there's some properties now, because of the last Panda update, that simply just won't rank, and that doesn't have anything to do other than usually page layout, and now some of them are getting dinged because of incorrect semantic markup. So those types of properties will never rank, but that's like a whole other lesson.
Whole other kettle of fish.
Yes.
And then for your last question, Nick, I'd say take some time and get into DAS. Jimmy's got some great videos in the director's cut for DAS, and go down that path. So, Bob asked if we've done anything with our products with Bluehost, and yes, I used Bluehost last summer, I think it was, and it works okay. It works as much as any shared hosting does. Brad asks, I have 5 clients that were using a low-quality SEO company before me. Each is a local business, and they all have 1,200 plus links that were built using tools, I assume based on the quality. All links are 100% keyword rich too. Most of them are ranking near the top of page 2. Would you, Mr. Kelley, recommend disavowing the bad links, aka all of them, before building new links, or just build high-quality links without keywords? It's a great question.
That's a loaded question.
That's loaded.
So the first thing I would do, typically if you're stuck, you'll hit a point, and this is kind of the same thing, you'll hit a point where your money site won't go past number 7. And then it'll drop back down to like number 12 or 13, and then you'll apply more links, and it'll just keep doing the same cycle. You'll just see it, over the days. It'll be bottom of page 1 back down to top of page 2, and it'll keep bouncing and cycling through like that. So typically what that means is you have an over-optimization issue going on. So there's one of 2 things you can do at that point. You can either de-optimize your target page for all the anchors you sent to it, or you could go in and disavow the anchors coming in that are targeting that page. And sometimes you have to do a combination of both to get to kick up beyond number 7. And then usually once I see it move and stay around bottom of page 1, then I start going in and hitting it with social and start working on the dilution part of the link building process. Or come in with PBNs or DAS and just start sending links that are not containing the keyword.
Well, this is a great question.
Did everybody get that one?
Is, I think, going to be an it depends.
So are we done with that one?
Oh, I thought so. He paused. I was reading forward. I'm sorry.
Hang on a second. That was a really,
there.
really important question, and I wanted to...
No. Yeah, that was my answer.
Yeah, okay, just wanted to make sure. Does everybody... That's a pretty valuable question, and that was a great question that was Brad's, right? Good one.
Yeah.
Okay, come back and watch this again on that particular thing. That was a really good question. Go ahead, Sue.
All right. So Giovanni's got a friend who has a 1999 cityname.com domain from abroad with thousands of pages. It's got a DA of 55, a trust flow of 25. We're building the subdomain pages and getting them indexed fast. They're on page 2 to 4 without backlinks. How would you guys go about building PA to those pages? PBNs, DAS, social signals. Should we also build up trust, or just power would be fine for those subdomain pages? Lastly, how fast would you build your links? Do you think the DA of 55 can hold a lot of juice?
He's been dying to ask us that. Good one.
I'll let you answer this one, Sue.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Oh, this is awesome.
You're getting into some other territory there.
Yeah,
so.
Trust factor and Sorry, I can't answer that. Don, let's look at this next question. Well, just kidding.
So my gut hunch there is you'd have to do a serious analysis on that site. I don't actually have. It seems to me if you've got thousands of pages.
Yep.
And you've only got a trust factor of 25.
Yep.
And you got a DA of 55. I want to know why. I'd have to dig. and find out more information before I could safely say what it is you ought to do and how it is that you ought to do it.
Yeah, and also like what's the content of those pages thematically? I mean, I'd just be
I'm not even
curious.
so worried about that. So the only thing that I'm looking at is you getting them indexed
The other
fast.
question is, are you trying to?
Go ahead.
So the other question is, are you wanting to rank those pages as well or not?
Is this an auto blog?
Right.
Are you auto blogging?
Okay, so Don asked,
Alrighty then.
will we, I mean, I'm sorry, it's just too much of an it depends.
Yeah, wait. Dependent. Too many dependencies.
Will we get the mind maps to all the pictures that you and Jimmy have? Friday's webinar mind map would be great. Couldn't see it on the screen. Sure, we can get those. Let me just
Fine, give it to me. I'll find it.
put a reference there so I can come back to that. All right, so Samuel has a question. If a domain name, for example, is localdentist.com, and I assume when you say localdentist.com, you don't mean like phoenixdentist.com, you literally mean localdentist.com. And my main keywords are Dallas Dentist, Dallas Dental Emergency, Dallas Dental Clinic, Dallas Dental Center. How do you think you should put the URL? So how should we construct the URL? Should it be localdentist.com/Dallas, localdentist.com/Dallas-dentist, localdentist.com/ blah, blah, blah. Okay, you get the picture there. Don't want to miss my URL because once I build the link, it's a pain to change. Yeah, I agree with that. You got to jump through a hoop. Or should I get a completely different domain, like medsource.com, and put my URL like this, medsource.com/DallasDentist? Are you on the call, Samuel?
That would be good. Samuel?
He is saying that it is citynamedentist.com. So I think
That's
in this
George,
instance,
though.
oh,
It's not actually Samuel who asked the question. So if local actually means Dallas, go ahead, Jimmy.
well, I was going to say that, you know, with anything today, I only want to have the keyword in there once. And even in this instance, you might want to think broader than just Dallas. I mean, unless this is going to be like a really tiny site and you know that Dallas is all you're going to hit, you know, I would still probably leave Dallas out of the URL. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of consideration in there whether you're going to be broadening your terms over time or not. So if you're just going to go with just Dallas and it's never going to grow and you're not branching into other cities, then I think it's fine to put Dallas Dentist in there. However, you would not have dentist as part of the route. So because you would be going after dentist, you wouldn't put localdentist.com/Dallas-dentist. Just put like localdentistry.com/Dallas-dentist. Like, I would rather put like an LSI version that might help you incorporate other keywords that you might target in that total URL string, but never repeat the same word more than once is typically my rule of thumb.
Right.
Everybody understand that? I think part of the things that George was saying is that previous, also George who said that standard localdentist.com does mean citynamedentist.com. There has been some shifts in OMG in general because he was saying that's an OMG standard. So this is stuff that's been updated when it comes to, you know, not over optimizing.
And okay, so maybe I should do like a little notepad.
That would be
thing,
great.
So
Sure.
Can you show us
I
the
think
pure diverse?
people kind of relate to that a little better.
Oh.
But I'm really excited. I really would.
So, and I could show.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want me to show last keyword tool in action with this too?
Yeah, if you could.
Sure.
Actually, yeah, that's a good thing because I have my filter in there too.
Right?
All right, I'll show you guys how I do it.
Yeah, we did have to make a special filter for this. Jimmy wrote a filter in the last keyword tool, which was kind of cool. And even if you're not using that, there's other ways you can pull these same principles. Chris says, just feedback, Jimmy and Sue. Chris says, this is really helping. I'm looking to start local SEO server, so this is awesome. Thank you guys so much. You're welcome, Chris Lee Fernandez.
So, let's see if I can do a, let me see if I can find a, oh, okay, here's one.
You didn't grab the screen yet, right?
No, not yet. It's just opening, logging in, and some of this other stuff. I still got all the webby stuff from earlier today.
Yeah, you're like full on, dude. Yeah. You're full on.
This is crazy.
Yes.
Okay.
It's raining frogs right now.
All right, just let me know when you can see my
You're good.
screen. I guess.
Yeah.
I need to break out the crazy little red arrow
Oh,
because
yeah.
people love that.
I've been missing that sucker. That's my thing. Without it, I don't feel like I'm getting my dopamine hit every day.
Right?
Well, you know, and I think, too, it's like when you're talking about something on the screen, for me, I think it's helpful if you're, like, pointing to, like, what the heck
Totally is. Very helpful to them.
Because otherwise people just get lost.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Hey, Jimmy, can you, we have a couple people asking, can you increase the percentage of your screen size? Like in your browser or something? There you go.
There you go.
Awesome.
That's about as big as I can get.
That's
Awesome.
good.
Awesome.
Okay, so the first thing you do when you're in here is you would do your project, right? And then after it's done drilling, I happen to have a local one here. So when you come down into this, we have different filters. So let's say I was trying to pick a, I'm trying to pick the most relevant keyword that's not the actual keyword I'm targeting. So in this instance, I did a drill for Delaware MMA, and MMA stands for Mixed Martial Arts. So just so you guys know what the heck it is. So when you look at this, if I was picking a domain and I was starting out, then typically what I like to do is go get something that's what we call a pure diverse. And a pure diverse is basically an LSI term. So LSI is kind of like a synonym. So if it was a synonym example would be like if I was going after cheap car insurance, I might put affordable auto insurance would be like an LSI term. So because it means the same thing, it's just different words. So when you come into this, the one that I like to use is just called Jimmy Kelley's Domain Name Finder, and you just click Apply.
Dude, why do you have so many
and
filters?
hopefully you get some stuff.
You've got your own custom brand named filters.
You just need filters from time to time.
That's true.
So this one was turned, you know, you could fudge some of the numbers in here and stuff, but, you know, so once you're in this, basically what this does is sort by the most relevant LSIs, but these are all pure diverse. So pure diverse means Google sees it as the same, so it's a very weighted word in Google. It's an LSI that Google considers, but it doesn't actually contain the keyword that I'm trying to rank for. So in this instance, my main keyword that I want to rank for was Delaware MMA, okay? So the pure diverse that comes up are mixed martial arts schools, mixed martial arts classes, and you know, I usually don't like to make my domains too long, so you know, I'd probably just come in here and pick, I probably would go with like, yeah, it's hard to say. Because this one's so specific, there's not like
there's not a lot of general
many curves on this one.
Yeah, it might be too
Let me
specific.
just think for a second here.
And that's why we use Kraken.
Yeah. So that's another lesson.
Too specific.
So in this instance, you know, typically, you know what, let's just show a different keyword. You guys get the idea on finding that. But let me show you something that's got a little more variety than just that. Because that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a little bit too.
that's too narrow. That's such a narrow keyword that you're not going to get much wiggle room in
Yeah.
there. So let's just pick something else. You know, like, let's see something. We could do like, let's get something that's a little, like detox drink. So let's try this. So we'll apply. We're just going to apply the same filter, and this saves no matter which project you go to. You'd have to go and actually change it, but for example purpose, I'm just going to walk through it again. So I click on Jimmy Kelley's domain name finder, and what I want to rank for in this instance, because I drilled for it, is detox drink. Okay, so when I come down in here, and it's such a small keyword, we have to adjust the filter. So we might push this down to 30 and see if we can get a little more options here. Okay, so that gave us a little bit better thing. So these are peer diverse. So you got hair drug test kit, saliva drug testing, saliva drug test. So detoxing, you know, it looks like you'd be trying to cleanse from a, you know, like if you're trying to pass a drug test or something, is mostly the gist I get from looking at these keywords.
Fake urine, silo. I go right for that.
So, you know, in this instance, I would do like cleanse.
There you go. Cleanse is a good synonym for detox, right? And for fluid, we'd like.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I do, and you know, sometimes you'll find one that look like great domain names, like fake urine. Like that one might even be interesting. Like if they're trying to pass a drug test, you know, that might make sense when you come across that for that specific.
Yeah, that's
search.
a painkiller keyword.
So,
that's a good tangent painkiller keyword.
Yeah, so you could take this, you could do like fakeurine.com. So let's just say that that's what we're going to do in this example. So let's say it's available. Okay, and then what I would do is, you know, you would just do detox drink. So this target page is only going to focus on ranking for that specific keyword, where I would never want to put like fake. I would never want to do that, and fake, or you know, drink detox or whatever. Like I just don't want to put that, the main keyword I'm trying to rank for, any other place in there. I try to keep this a pure diverse. So that might make sense. So now let's wrap it back around to that specific example. What was the keyword? It was like Dallas SEO, right? Or med. I don't remember because I don't
See,
have the
what's
screen.
that?
I'm looking
What
here.
is the yeah?
I'm looking, hang on. Dallas dentist.
Okay, so when I'm looking for that, and they wanted like localdentist.com/Dallas-dentist was one of the options they put in the question.
Yep.
So in this, like, and they also had another option where it said like MedSource.
Yep.
So, but when I'm looking at this, like the same way that Greg teaches to kind of do like a super keyword is basically what I try to do with these types of things. So you could do, you know, another highly searched for term is probably dentistry, or what would be another one? I never had braces as a kid. What are they called? Orthodontic or orthodontist?
Orthodontic. Yeah.
There you go. Now you have a diverse.
Pardon the spelling if it's not right. I'm not that great, but so this is an example of a pure diverse. Like you know what this is, and that's highly relevant to the main keyword you're trying to rank for. So now you have a possibility to rank for Dallas orthodontic, you know, orthodontic dentist. You know, who knows what people search for? Put your search phrase into the last keyword tool and see what what your high LSI words are for. So then when you're sending links,
Yeah.
you don't have to be concerned so much with the over-optimization, which refers back to the question we had just a little bit
Well,
ago.
yeah, and I also want to point out that I
So-
think what George is saying is true, that when this questioner was asking about local dentistry, the word local should be replaced with Dallas in this case. And I think that makes the equation a little bit more interesting. I think it answers the question more directly. So what he was really saying is dallasdentistry.com/Dallas dentistry dentist. So not local. The word local is a placeholder that Greg uses when he's talking about local stuff. So in this case, this wouldn't.
Yeah, and
You could, if you change it to orthodontic. Let me simplify
Yeah.
that. If you change it to orthodontics, you could still do Dallas orthodontic, or is that too many times for the word Dallas? That's one of the big questions.
no, I would never do Dallas orthodontic. So
Okay.
like, let's say I was going after Dallas orthodontic for the main keyword, I would leave it like this.
Ah, gagotcha. And that's why I threw that in,
Okay,
Jimmy,
so-
because this is really just the way that Greg taught. You know, local actually defined meant, you know, whichever local area you're doing.
Now the other thing that I'd be aware of, now let's say you're going to go hit other areas. So let's say you're going to hit like suburbs in Dallas or other zip codes in Dallas or whatever. In that case, sometimes I don't put, like for me, if I have a choice of a location, most of the time I will just go ahead and put it in the title and not put it in the URL string.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was going, let's say I'm going after multiple cities and multiple locations within Dallas,
Right.
I'd only leave it at dentist. And then that would be my top level silo.
Got it.
And then under that I might put my cities. So that would be a supporting page, and you'd have the same thing. So hold on, maybe I'm going too fast here. So this would be your top level page, like when you're doing a silo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now a supporting page for this would be the area I want to target. So we might do Dallas, and then we might do Houston, if you're going into other cities, right? And then because these are pages and you set these up as categories, did they learn this stuff in this course, or am I going way outside the realm of training?
Well, you know,
Well,
it's a common pivot point, and we get this question a lot.
You're not going way outside of the, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so keep
So
going.
so now let's say in Dallas you want to target specific zip codes. So because you set this up as a category page, you could then select that as a post. So these are pages, these are supporting pages to this specific category. And when you go in and you create now you have this specific page, you can have posts supporting the page. So then your post would look, you know, something like this. It might be dentist / Dallas / 78613 or whatever zip code. It could be a zip code or a county, you know, that you might be breaking in on different areas of Dallas. But that's kind of an example of what a fully built out, you know, you'd have 5 each, but that'd be the example of a fully built out silo.
So one person asked, would you have dentist first or would you have Dallas first? So in other words, would dentist be your silo or would Dallas be your silo?
I prefer to have my main topic be first, because, you know, Dallas, so cities are like those are what are called descriptors.
Yeah.
And a descriptor, you know, that's just something that describes something. So that could be like a price, or that could be a location, or that could be, you know, something that describes them. Just think of it that way.
But the main object is the dentist here, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so the main keywords, mostly what I want to rank for is dentist. And so I try to keep the descriptors loose, so to say.
Gotcha.
Because, you know, if you put Dallas first,
Yeah.
and then let's say you change stuff underneath it, that's a big pain in the butt to have to do with 301s and everything else. Whereas, like, let's just say I wanted to move this page, or maybe this needs more supporting. This is a lot easier to do than deconstructing the entire silo and rebuilding it.
Yeah, and Jimmy, Jazz has a great question too, which I've gotten a lot. This would work for a directory as well, right? Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's totally scalable.
So let me just jump in there for a second, because that speaks to the point that I was trying to make. If you're doing something like a directory and you've got a bunch of different things, and Dallas is actually the thing that you're wanting to rank for along with all of the stuff that comes under Dallas, then putting Dallas first and then putting like handyman, dentist, lawyer, all of those things underneath it will reinforce the idea of Dallas. If you have handyman as the top thing and then all your different locations under that, then it's going to lean more. The keyword that you're reinforcing is the top level keyword, whichever it is that you're choosing. So whichever way it is that you want to go, whatever the main thing is that you want to get across, that's the thing you put at the top. So if you're doing a local directory, you tend to put the location at the top.
Yeah, so the pivot there, and again, we aren't teaching directories in the director cut. But that was a great question, and we do get it a lot, because I know I have heard of some of you, in fact a few of you I recognize in here are actually building directories, and you actually try to use our silo plugin to do it. Not that that's a bad thing necessarily, but I mean, that pivot point, Sue, what you just described, I think is really, really important, because if you're building a directory, the location becomes the object instead of the object like dentist.
Cool.
Is that what you're saying? Can you confirm that?
Yep,
okay.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a huge point. Did you give me one, guys? This is actually a huge pivot in learning. Can you guys give me a one if you understood that? It's kind of advanced knowledge. And I get a huge question about people immediately in their minds go from small local site to directory pretty quickly. And Jimmy, I'd like to just hear from you on that. I know you've built directories before. Can I do this? I probably shouldn't do it. Are you two in agreement on this? Because sometimes you don't 100% agree on it. Jimmy, are you in agreement with what she said?
No. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can ask him his opinion.
Okay, I'm just checking. I don't want to cause any,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so for me...
Light bulb moment, guys. Mark just said he had a light bulb moment with this conversation, so thank you, guys.
So we have, I mean, I fully agree with Sue, because for me, when I do my link building, like the structure of the URLs are the most critical, because, if you properly silo your site, it's 80% less links. Mm-hmm. And especially since people are learning DAS and the supporting keywords that go with a silo, like it really does kind of depend on what is the main topic of your website. Yes. Certainly, if it's going to be a directory, then you would put like a location.
Gotcha. No, I gotcha.
Because that would make more sense.
And I know that it's obvious to you guys. It's obvious to me too. But I love the fact that we rolled this question out in a way that allowed everybody on the call to have a light bulb moment, because it's not so obvious. Like a silo is not necessarily silo. A lot of the times we're just so hard just working about just building the silo structure that we forget the object. So this is a great. One of the better light bulb moments. Also, Shane was saying, Sue, that you can kill the question from him because this answered it. So we can.
Yep, I just did
Okay,
that.
Okay. Thanks, Shane. I'm so glad we were able to actually help you with that. How is it that there's more people coming onto the webinar as we go along instead of leaving? We have more. We're having several people get on every few minutes, and we're an hour and a half into it. It's very strange. Love it.
All right. So next question.
George is making a point. West Coast gets home. Correct. Next question. Let's do it. Thanks, Jimmy. That was truly awesome. Truly an awesome explanation from both of you. Thank you so much. Todd Lee says,
sure.
Todd Lee says, this webinar is awesome. There's some more light bulb moments coming down. Excellent. Chu says, city on a hill, baby. Awesome. Wow. I love it when there's those light bulb moments. It's really hard to, you can't really fake those light bulb moments. It just requires great teachers. You guys are awesome. What is the next question?
I have my social accounts for my business pointing.
Sue, can you grab the screen?
This is Jason.
We can't see your questions.
Well, a minute ago you didn't want to see the questions.
Okay, then just, all right, fine. You write it down.
Hang on a second.
I'm sorry.
Please make up your mind.
Okay.
All right.
George says, we want to see the questions. He doesn't care what I think. So there you have it. The audience has spoken.
All right, can you guys see my screen now?
No, actually. I see this big white director's cut.
All right, we'll give it a minute. I know last time, the last webinar, it took a minute.
There's a lot of people on the call could be part of it.
Press that big play button.
Right? All right. So it should pop up here in a second. So Jason's got 2 BBNs set up pointing toward his website.
Okay. Oh, there we go. We got you now.
One's about pink eye and the other's about dry eye.
Ouch.
So should I change all of my accounts now to point to one of my blogs as the RSS feed? All of my accounts now point. Oh, should I change all of my accounts now? Should I?
That's a weird.
I assume all of the social accounts should be business-based and not personal, correct? Lastly, I have a Gmail account set up with a name that has nothing to do with eye care from a previous business venture. Is there any way to change the name?
No.
I couldn't find a way to
No,
do
this is all Google Dashboard
No.
questioning. See. And not only that, you really don't need to. Like your Gmail account doesn't really have anything to do with theming. That's more for you. Like if you have lots and lots of empires, you might want to have a Gmail account that ties to your topic just for your memorization, but I don't really understand that part. So should I change all of my accounts now to point to one of my blogs as the RSS feed? I don't understand what accounts he means, so that makes the question hard to answer. Jason, if you're around, can you clarify? Right. Jason Paste? Looks like Paste, actually. Don't really understand the question. But no, you don't have to. If you have a Gmail account that's set up with a name that has nothing to do with eye care from previous visits, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of annoying for yourself when it's like, home improvement and you're trying to set up a topic and theme for your Google dashboard. It's just kind of annoying to have to log in with that. So, if you're starting with the beginning with the end in mind, it's better to keep a domain. But it really doesn't matter what your Gmail account is. Like there's really no URL structure or keyword in URL, unless Jimmy corrects me on this. I might be wrong somewhere in the really back waters of Google, because Jimmy likes to poke around and all kinds of things. He probably has the opposite. But normally your Gmail,
you can't talk about this.
You can't talk about that, like not using Google Website Creator. Sorry, Jimmy. There's no keyword relationship to your Gmail, really, that you should be using. Does that make sense, Jason?
He's not actually on the call.
Okay. Well, I'll talk to him anyway.
He can get back to us.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Joe.
All right. Joe, when you're trying to rank one city page for multiple LSI terms, do you always use the city modifier? For example, trying to rank for Denver plumbing with my LSI keyword copper repipe. Would I do just copper repipe? The thinking is Denver is already on the page, or do Denver copper repipe? I think we pretty much covered that in the last
That pretty much covers that question.
Yeah.
Okay,
good one.
Unless he would like to rephrase.
Yeah, or
yeah, Joe, are you?
He wasn't clear on something.
Joe, I'm not sure which Joe it is. We've got several.
But he did say one city page for multiple LSI terms. I guess we still covered that, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't reuse the same keyword. It's the bottom line. So if you've got Denver plumbing in there once,
right.
Then copper repipe would be a great LSI to add to that.
Yeah.
I still, so basically if you've optimized the page, so for example you've optimized the H1 tag and your title, and you've got Denver at least on there once, I would just at least put copper repipe in there. So I don't think you have to actually go in and keep putting the Denver in there necessarily.
So you're saying that the master location, Denver, you could actually over-optimize for that as well very easily if you kept saying Denver this and Denver that.
Yeah, because I don't think you have to make it too, as long as Google knows. So like you either have the location in your title. My favorite place to put in the title and the H1. If it's in the URL, then great. But typically that's where that's where I put it, and then I just make sure the keywords LSI-wise I want to rank for. It doesn't have to say descriptor keyword, but it is important to have at least the keyword in the content.
That's huge, you guys. I just want to stop Jimmy for a second because I have to slow him down sometimes to help me. H1, he just actually said, if you read, not so many words, the H1 is more important to him than the URL string generally in that topic. So that's what you said, right, Jimmy?
Well, the URL holds more weight, but because, I don't usually build sites that are only targeting one specific city, I'll at least do a state.
Right.
So that's why I try not to ever, focus it around a location, but it really depends on what the end market is that they want to attain.
Gotcha. Because Joe didn't really tell us if he's building multiple cities or if he just says one city page. That's kind of what threw me.
Could you do something like that?
How bad? Okay, hold on a sec. He's asking if you have the keyword in the URL or path, how bad is it to have the keyword in the page name? Well, it's not bad, but I definitely wouldn't put the descriptor over and over and over in there. But I certainly think you could put it in there, 3 to 5 times.
I've got to change headset, guys. Apparently they can't hear me. Be back.